The gurus say that you need to buy 10 properties in 10 years to create a $100,000 passive income, but they are lying to you. And the actual fact is that you can create a sizable portfolio with a number of key property decisions to give yourself more choices sooner. Now, my name's Luke and I run a buyer's agency called Purpose Property, and I've been able to build a property portfolio around $12.5 million at this point in time. And my late wife, Emily, and I were able to build a $5 million portfolio on everyday Australian incomes. I started working out in an accounting firm as a chartered accountant on a wage of $45,000 plus super in 2016. By 2020, my wage had grown to $120,000. And my wife mirrored the wages similar over that period of time. What that means is we started with wages around $100,000 as a household in total, and that increased to $240,000 over a 5-year time horizon. In that time, we were able to buy and scale a property portfolio with key purchases and grow the property portfolio from $0 to $5 million, balancing out capital growth and cash flow. So let's unpack the rhetoric that the gurus state that you need those 10 properties over a 10-year period to actually make financial freedom a reality. In my opinion, it's about quality over quantity. I don't care if you've got 10 properties, 20 properties, 50 properties. It's more about the value of the properties, the scarcity of those assets, the compound growth rates, and the cash flow on those deals. When investors are starting out, in my opinion, you should be focusing on capital growth first. The biggest thing we do with our clients is we sit down and look at their financial capacity. With all our clients, we recommend they go to our mortgage broker, and you can head over to our website and book in with our mortgage broker if you're interested in having a chat with them. And when you sit down with the mortgage broker, they tell you what your borrowing capacity is. Can you buy a house for $700,000? Do you have a capacity of $1.5 million or $3 million? The capacity will tell you exactly what your total borrowing capacity is at this point in time, and then it will help you form a strategy based on your borrowing power. It's all well and good to say that you want to buy blue chip assets in Brisbane, Melbourne, or Sydney, but if you don't have the budget, how on earth can you buy those types of properties? And that's exactly what I'm looking at when I hear about buyers agents like Jack Henderson spruiking that you have to buy $1.5–2 million houses. On the other end of the spectrum, you get buyers agents that say buy here, there, and everywhere. Regional towns in Darwin. We want you to buy in the outskirts near Alice Springs. We want you to buy out in the central Perth and central Adelaide, and all those locations out on the rim. Now, don't get me wrong. I own properties in a regional town like Coffs Harbour, but those locations need to have good fundamentals. At a minimum, if it was my money, I'd want to buy in a town or city that has at least 50,000 people. For example, at this point in time, the Coffs Harbour region has around 90,000 people at this point in time. What this means is you can buy regionally, you can buy blue chip, but you need to understand your borrowing capacity and then strategize from there. As I was saying, I would be focusing on growth first, and growth tends to be where the highest growth rates are in the next 1 to 5 years. I don't tend to like to look at the 1 year, 2 year time horizons, which some buyers agents chase, those really short-term growth hotspots. And that's why you get some buyers agents chasing those smaller cap regional towns because they want to chase growth quickly. Darwin's actually a good example of that. It's a city with a couple of 100,000 people there. It's had amazing growth over the last 24 months. But honestly, if I was starting again, I don't know if I'd feel comfortable buying in a town or it's a capital. I don't feel like I'd be comfortable buying in a capital like Darwin if you look at the history of that location. Alternatively, I would be looking at Melbourne, Brisbane, or one of the other major regional towns, Port Macquarie, Coffs Harbour, Newcastle, even some of the North Queensland options or some of the other regional options in Victoria. Would be my picks at this point in time. If I had a slightly lower budget between say $500,000 to $700,000 and I wanted to get a freestanding house on a good block size with upside potential. And so focus on quality. Focus on assets that you'd be happy to hold over a 5, 7, and 10-year time horizon. I'm honestly sick of hearing about this 12-month decision-making that a lot of buyers agents and property gurus are talking about. You need that rapid growth within 12 months and then you can go again and go again. I would rather buy in a city that has great fundamentals from a 5, 7, and 10-year time horizon and use forced manufactured value-add strategies to push the growth up in the 1 year to 2 year term. And that's why Emily and I, when I started our buying journey as a couple in 2018, started with renovations, but also buying with the mid to long-term fundamentals. And that's why we bought our first deal in Kelvin Grove in Brisbane City. And so if you're looking to start out, focus on quality over quantity. The next point is complexity. Buyers agents, brokers, gurus, they all want to make things overly complex. The reality is property is quite simple. Get your cash together, buy a property, look at your serviceability, constantly talk with your mortgage broker about equity and serviceability, draw out more debt when you can, and grow your asset base over time. That's how simple it can be. Of course, there's nuance in every step of that process, and that's why people decide to work with myself and the team at Purpose Property, because we don't only look at the individual deal, we look at your holistic scenario, and I give you my view as a chartered accountant on how you can structure and manage your circumstances. But for the everyday Aussie, you're unlikely to need to grow a property portfolio using trust structures and SMSF to begin with. Most Aussies will be able to look at buying in personal names to begin with and then get more complex into trust structures and SMSF or self-managed super fund deals over time. Now, there are some significant advantages to using trust structures and super purchases, but you don't have to jump from the starting line to the finish line. Think about it as a step-by-step process to understanding and taking on more complex structures. Now, in the reality of my portfolio, I now have multiple trust structures, 3, 4, 5 trust structures. But when I started out, I only bought in personal names with Emily. We got higher land tax thresholds. We split the land tax 50-50. We split the debt 50-50 as a couple. And it was a simple structure to begin with. So if you're just getting started out, which is the reality for most Australians, look at buying simple. Look at using potentially personal names or a trust structure depending on the impacts on your borrowing power. And this is why a mortgage broker is so critical, because these first few steps are all reliant on the brokers and banks to get you the money to grow a property portfolio. I always like to say, without the capital, without the cash, you can't buy and scale a property portfolio. And so you need to work out, how is this first deal going to get me into my next deal, and so on. But also, how do each of these deals help me towards my mid and long-term goals? So you're balancing the short, the mid, and the long-term, as well as the risk, depending on the property that you buy throughout that process. Now, I want to talk thirdly about debt and interest rates. A lot of Australians get scared of debt because most people's experience of debt is poor. They have experience with credit cards and not paying the bill back on time. They have experience with, owing the ATO out of their business every quarter for payroll, super, GST, the list goes on. And so people's experience with debt on their own home, their credit cards, and in their business and day-to-day life with pay-as-you-go tax, people see that money is coming out of their pocket when they take on debt, and they don't see that it can be good debt. Good debt allows you to hold an asset base that compounds over time. Now, then we need to overlay interest rates, because interest rates is a big topic for a lot of Aussies. Am I getting a 5.5% rate? Am I getting a 5.7% rate? The reality is, to me, I care a lot less about rate and I care a lot more about borrowing capacity. For me, I'll happily take another $1 million at a 7% interest rate, because across my entire property portfolio, I do what's called a weighted average cost of capital, or a weighted average interest rate. And all that means is, if I've got $1 million at 5%, $1 million at 6%, and $1 million at 7%, the weighted average cost of capital is 6% across $3 million of debt. And that might mean that I'm holding a $5 million property portfolio with my $3 million worth of debt. And the really exciting thing is, you can grow and scale a property portfolio using the brokers and banks against each other almost. What I mean by that is, you can use second and third tier lenders to extend your borrowing capacity. And then typically after 12 months, because you've shown that you can make the repayments, you can then have an easier time refinancing back to sharper rates with more mainstream banks. So definitely sit down and have a chat about that with your mortgage broker, because that's how you can scale a property portfolio, then refinance back to a main tier bank, and then buy another deal with a third tier lender at a higher interest rate, and then bring that back to a main tier bank. And this is exactly what I've done in my property journey. If you look at what Emily and I did as a young couple buying our first property at 23, we were then able to scale the property portfolio to $5 million by 27 years old. So just within 4 years. Now, if you look at the timeline, you go, oh, Luke, that's crazy. $0 to $5 million in 4 years. But that didn't happen in a short time. We did deal 1 for 800K, then 2 years passed and we did deal number 2. But then deal number 3 was only 6 months later. And then about another 9 months after that, we did the final deal for around $1.4 million. So 800K, 550K, 680K, and then a $1.4 million purchase. And the time between deal 1 and 2 was 2 years. Now, for the everyday Aussie, that might be 3 years or 5 years between your first home or your first investment purchase and your second property purchase in your entire life. But you can get there, work towards those key milestones, and then you get that snowball effect. I like to joke with some of my managers and staff that some of their snowballs have melted. They've had kids, they've taken on some credit card debt, they took a car loan out, and it melted their snowball. It killed their momentum. That's why if you can start focusing on growth and building your capital base, you can build momentum, access equity, and snowball down the hill in terms of your property portfolio. So definitely look to do that as you start and scale a property portfolio. Now we need to talk about balancing these things as you scale, because a lot of people get nervous as the portfolio grows from 1, 2 to 4 million, 5 million, so on. People get a lot more nervous with these bigger numbers. Now, being a chartered accountant by trade, I used to work as a financial controller for a property developer. I was far more accustomed to dealing with massive numbers. I saw businesses that were doing turnover of 10 million, 50 million, $100 million, and businesses that sold in the venture capital space for tens of millions of dollars, and day-to-day transactions in hundreds of thousands in terms of civil projects and things like that. You know, you're paying hundreds of thousands of dollars just to get a road paved on a development site, for example. And so because I've had that exposure, you need to expose yourself to other people doing this to get more comfortable with bigger numbers. And that's exactly why you're watching a video like this or listening to it on YouTube. It's giving yourself those people around you to get more comfortable with these bigger numbers. And you also want to protect yourself as the portfolio grows. You don't want to have a $5,000 buffer when you've got a $5 million property portfolio. Now, don't get me wrong, as a business owner and a investor who's taken some risks to get some reward, there have been some times where I've pushed the envelope. But I've always had plan A, plan B, plan C, plan D, and so on to give myself those backup options in the worst case scenario. Can I delay a payment over here to make sure I meet a repayment over there and that my build progresses? Now, you don't want to put yourself in those circumstances, but you want to have backup plans and cash buffers to essentially buffer yourself from those storms that are going to come. We will likely have a downfall in property prices in the next 5 years. There's almost a guarantee of it. We have 4 years up every 5 years historically. So that means 1 out of 5 years is a negative year in terms of growth, and that could potentially hurt your financial position. So you want to build those buffers, build those barricades in that process, and make sure you're protected as you scale the property portfolio. Instead of obsessing over the count of property, focus on good quality deals that are going to get you where you want to go. I care more about having a property portfolio worth 5, 10, $12.5 million than I do care about it being 3 assets or 10 assets or 25 assets. At this point in time, I have around 9 properties, but I've got 4 build sites on the go as we speak. And I'm planning on selling one of my properties in the near future to free up cash and to free up debt to go towards these development projects. To me, it doesn't matter if I've got 8 or 12 properties or 6 properties. It's more about the risk and diversification play, so not having all my eggs in one basket. Hence why I'm invested in Coffs Harbour, in Greater Brisbane, and in Melbourne at this point, and Geelong. So I've got a good spread of assets across multiple states and multiple locations: New South Wales, Queensland, Victoria. I've got a good spread across states. I've got a good spread across values. And I've got a deal that's happening in the commercial space for our office for the Purpose Property team in December 2026 for about $1 million. So that'll give me some exposure to the commercial market as well. The great thing about this is it doesn't happen overnight. You can build this strategy and refine it as you go. People always ask me, did I know that I was going to be a successful property investor? And I would have said I had that conviction as a 21-year-old, knowing when I started work that I wanted to buy, build, and scale a property portfolio. But the path to get there has been very unique based on what's happening in the global market, the Australian market, the local market, and my specific property portfolio. It's all been tailored to my situation. And if you want to book in a call with myself to sit down and discuss your specific circumstances and how we can help you buy a property in Greater Brisbane or Greater Melbourne in the next 3 to 6 months, head over to purposeproperty.com.au to book in a free 20-minute chat with myself, and we can sit down and talk about your property position and how we can help you secure another deal moving forward to get you where you want to go. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Are more properties going to make you more successful? Or is it more about the value of your properties and managing that risk and diversification play as you build out? Leave a comment down below and give this video a click right here, because that's the one YouTube wants you to watch next. I'll see you over there. Peace.